Hello my friends and welcome back to Let's Talk Diabetes with Anthony. Are you a beer drinker? Have you ever wondered if beer could be a problem for diabetics? Well, in this video I'll be answering those questions for you. Plus, near the end of the video, I'm going to be giving you my personal opinion about beer and diabetes. But as always, my channel is not sponsored by any company. My main concern is its content, where I try to post videos twice a week on YouTube, usually Tuesdays and Fridays, trying to inform people about diabetes and how serious this disease is. Why? Because it affects our overall health. How do I know this? Because I'm diabetic myself and I know exactly how it's been affecting my overall health, and I know exactly what diabetics are going through. So let's begin. First of all, I'm going to give you a definition of what beer is. Then I'm going to go over the process of how beer is made, and then I'll be telling you the reason why beer could be a problem for diabetics. So let's begin. Beer is an alcoholic drink, so don't forget, it's an alcoholic drink that is made by extracting materials. Its main ingredient is wheat, so it starts off as wheat, hops, and yeast. So now I'm going to be describing the process of how beer is made, and you could follow along with the graph that's on your screen. But just to inform you that I'm going to be explaining this process in my own way. I'm not following the way that it's being explained on the graph that you're looking at. The graph is just there for you to get an understanding of what I'm trying to tell you. Alright, so let's begin. So the brewer, the maker, starts off with getting the wheat. They crack it open, then they grind it. After it's ground it all up, it's degerminated. Then it is roasted. After all this is done, it is put in a huge kettle to be boiled at a high temperature. Then what happens is, after a while, they add hops, H-O-P-S. They're leaves that come from the hop plant. These leaves do several things to the beer. Number one, it keeps the beer fresh. Number two, it gives it that bitterness taste that we're so aware of with beer. And number three, it gives you that foam that we're so used to seeing in beer. So this is all mixed together. While this is going on, the wheat is melted. The high temperature boiling, the wheat in that high temperature gets melted and it becomes all sugar. Once all this is done, well then fermentation begins. It starts when yeast is added into the pot. What does yeast do? Well, it turns the sugar into alcohol. That's right. Pay attention to this. So it starts off as wheat, and then after fermentation, it turns to alcohol. So once the yeast is finished, well, then the beer is made. And then carbonation starts. What does this mean? Well, the brewer cools the beer off, and they put it in large cooling tanks. While it's being cooled off, it is aged according to what the maker wants it to be. The longer the beer is aged, the better. Just that doesn't work with people, right? Just a little joke there. Alright, so now you're probably saying, well, why can beer be a problem for diabetics? Well, this is why, my friends. We all assume that, most of us do, that, oh well, beer is wheat. There's no alcohol in beer, right? Well, wrong. Like I just said, it starts off with wheat, and then after fermentation, it becomes alcohol. And alcohol is a problem for diabetics. Why? Because it causes hypoglycemia. What is hypoglycemia? Well, I'll be explaining this to you right now, and you can follow along with the graph that's on your screen. Once again, I'm going to be explaining this in my own way, not the way it's explained on the graph. The graph is just there to give you an idea of what hypoglycemia is. So, the way alcohol affects diabetics is that it slows down the digestion or the absorption of sugar into our bloodstream. When this happens, well, the blood sugar dips very low. So you're probably thinking right now, well, look, there's the cure for diabetes, right? Well, not so, my friends, but it's a good one, right? I thought that too. No, it creates a huge drop where you could possibly go into a coma and lead to death. So, alcohol also gets you drunk. Now, if it gets you drunk, then you're not going to be able to figure out what the symptoms are of hypoglycemia. Because diabetics should know what these symptoms are and be ready to take care of them in terms of take action. Usually they should bring some food, quick rising blood sugar food with them, and they should be okay. So what are the symptoms of hypoglycemia? Well, I'll give you a list right now. The first one is feeling hungry. Well, you know what? We always feel hungry. At least I do all the time, right? But it's not that kind of a hunger. It's a kind of hunger where, like, you feel like you haven't eaten in days, and you don't know why. That's the kind of hunger that I'm talking about. Sweating, well, you just sweat for no reason. And dizziness. You have blurred vision, and you're shaky. Plus, you're pale. Now, you should be careful because these could be other underlying symptoms of other diseases. So make sure there's no other issues wrong with your health, right? Check with your doctor. Now, why did I choose beer to say that alcohol is bad for diabetics? Because, like I said, beer's a tricky drink. I'm sure people still out there think that, you know what, beer is just wheat, right? And you know, it won't affect me and my diabetes. Well, that's a whole other issue because wheat does affect your blood sugar numbers. But we're talking about alcohol and diabetes. So people will be drinking it, and even diabetics, and they won't, have any issues with this. So my friends, be careful with beer because it is alcohol. So my friends, what I'm saying here is there's light at the end of the tunnel, because with beer, there's many different kind of beers that you could drink that could be, not cause hypoglycemia for diabetics. For example, there's regular beer, there's light beer, there's non-alcoholic beer. And there's a way to figure out which is the right beer for diabetics that won't cause hypoglycemia. And what's that way? Well, the first way is test. Use your blood sugar monitor, have that beer, and then test to see how it affects your blood sugar. Once you know how it affects your blood sugar, well, then you could figure out how much you could have without having it affect your blood sugar. Then test the light beer and see how that works. If that's good for you, well then figure out the amount that you could drink without causing hypoglycemia. And then test the non-alcoholic beer. And you know what? Do the same way. But in my opinion, I think that the non-alcoholic beer is probably better for diabetics. Actually, for regular people as well. But then there's another way you could do this, which is probably the most reasonable, common sense way. Talk to your doctor about this. I know I keep saying this in all my videos, but you know what? It's common sense. They're the one that understands diabetes. In fact, talk to your diabetic doctor because they know that, people drink beer and alcohol. And I mean, they're not stupid. So they're going to have a way to tell you which one is better for diabetics and what other diabetics drink and keeps their sugar normal. So my friends, there's light at the end of the tunnel, as they say. Beer can be a pretty good alcoholic beverage to drink because there's different kinds to satisfy you, and you won't get into that hypoglycemic situation. So my friends, don't forget, alcohol plays a big issue for diabetics. It drops your blood sugar too low. And also, if you get drunk, well, obviously you're not going to know the hypoglycemic symptoms, and you know what? You're going to be in trouble. So I hope you enjoyed this video on beer. It is safe to drink. You just have to figure out which one is the right one for you and try to prevent the hypoglycemia. Because all the other hard alcoholic drinks are dangerous, my friends. So try to stay with beer because it's a little bit safer. But I'm not giving you permission to drink it all the time and get drunk, because then, I mean, that's stupid, right? We all know this. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Hit the like button and keep sending me your comments. And happy beer drinking safely. Bye for now.